Hello and welcome to the show. Today's Forza Horizon 4 challenge involves a lot of randomising, basically. What we were going to do for this, a PI number was going to be randomly selected, and then cars were going to be built to race to that. Now, we've done that before. However, the car that you were going to use was also going to be randomly selected. I go on Kudos Prime and would randomly draw cards until a car was a lower PI than the number that we were building the vehicles to, which means there's a whole lot of randomness going on in this one. We'd start off with a low S1 class as the target PI, and I would be given a Jaguar E-Type. I wasn't too displeased about this, if I'm honest. The only real rule with building the cars, you weren't supposed to be drivetrain swapping them unless they physically had to get the PI. So, for our first race, I have, well, brought my S1 class Jaguar E-Type. Fairly happy with this draw of a vehicle. Ooh, you have a nice spot on the grid, although BMW X5, big heavy SUV, they do get big tyres. It is one of the few all-wheel drive cars, as everybody has had to leave their vehicles with their standard driveline as long as the PI would allow it. The dangerous twitchy cars are at the back. The 205 is barely drivable in this class. The Stratos does have some big rear tyres, but also liable to be on the relatively twitchy side. I feel like I'm okay. I probably don't have the best car here. I might be a bit liable to some oversteer with the Jag. We'll have to wait and see how things go. We're not too bad off the line. The i8 is, of course, going to be quite quick. I think they're relatively heavy, but it is going to be, I would imagine, fairly rapid. We'll have to see how it goes. Can I chase down? I mean, it's an unusual battle when you have an E-Type Jaguar trying to chase down a BMW SUV. Now, it will have more power than me. It'll have more power than me and have bigger tyres than me. I am lighter than it. I'm hoping I'm going to outturn the damn thing, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. I mean, this Jag is actually very light. 2,300 pounds is not much weight at all. We can carry some good speed through there, which is helpful. Not quite sure. We can probably be better on the brake. I mean, again, I'm hoping I'm going to be better on the brakes. Just the thing I'm going to have to be, I say, wary of. The difficulty I'm going to have is slow corners. Just the traction from that Beamer is going to be very, very good. What have we got behind us? I can't look back at the moment to see. We are being chased by a Jag. Another Jag. Well, I mean, we're going to lose a position. It might as well be to the XKRS. Is that the one it is? I think it is. Yes, it is indeed. And behind that is the Macan. So the two SUVs in the field. And we kind of laughed at them getting SUVs. However, this is Horizon 4, where tyre widths are king and SUVs are actually relatively fast in circuit racing, as I cannot catch the BMW. More likely to start slipping down the order, I think, than I am to catch that thing. It's just got so much speed on me at this moment in time. The i8's in 5th at the moment. The 205 is, unsurprisingly, at the back. It's probably already spun once. It's one of those cars that in between accidents is probably quite fast. The thing is, he doesn't really stay in between. There's an accident almost every lap. It is super difficult to drive. I really struggle with an A-class one, getting any speed out of the car. Lower classes work surprisingly well, but up in A-class it starts getting very difficult to control, and S1 it just gets worse. You just have less weight, more power, and just more trouble. We have pulled away from the battle for third position going on there between the Jag and the Cayenne. I've got a representative for the cars at the moment. I'm hoping the BMW makes a mistake somewhere. They got very close to missing a checkpoint for all of that. Impego is literally on the limit. It's not that much quicker than me. If I was ahead of it, I could probably defend fairly well from it. It's probably, what do we reckon, 2-3 tenths a lap faster than me? Maybe half a second if I have a slightly scruffy lap and the Beamer has a good lap. So that's always fun. That's something we're going to have to deal with. That is the one corner where I am faster, and Impego ran a little bit wide, took out a rock. I think that corner and the braking zone down here, I mean, are just so much lighter with the E-Type. We can, we've got full race brakes on the cars. In S1 class, a lot of these vehicles, certainly cars like mine that started off much lower PI, you're running race tyres, you've got race brakes, you've got full weight reduction, you've got max tyre widths. Now, Gliska up in 5th, is in a Vanquish Aston Martin that starts off in S1 class. I don't have much PI to play around with in that particular car. You won't have all the bits and pieces, but of course you have a very good chassis to begin with, certainly in comparison I mean, the E-Type's good, of course, don't get me wrong, but it was good for the 60s. Chassis is nowhere near as good as a 2010's Aston Martin. We're losing about half a second of that, give or take. We have pulled away from the Cayenne. I say pulled away, we've kind of kept the Cayenne where it is. The Cayenne looks like a mad off-road Baja spec vehicle. Of course, the wide body kit works wonders for them with tyre widths. You can get 345s, 355s or something on cars like that. I've not done that corner very well, particularly. Yeah, I lost a couple of tenths where I should have been gaining a couple of tenths in all of that. That's poorly driven by me. Just got to not make any mistakes. Sadly, as far as a race goes, we have been sat in no man's land. Good spot on the grid, kept my nose clean, been pretty quick, been all sorts of out of shape. This has been a terrible lap by me. That's not going to help. Scotty's still sat in fourth, so the two Jags are not bad. Two Jags are definitely the best cars in this field. Sucks that it's almost fitting, really, with the current trend in everyone wanting to build an SUV. And almost fitting that we have SUV and SUV dominating here. I'm under a little bit of pressure here. Liam has been pretty quick with that Porsche, and I'm a bit worried about the Cayenne straight line speed. Oh no, Macan. I think it's Macan actually. Might have got it right. I can't remember. They're the same bloody things, really. Okay, so the Porsche is no good in a straight line. The BMW is faster than me down the straight, and I'm faster than the Porsche. So that's helpful to know. But I'm guessing that SUV is going to be good in the corners then. Oh, if it's running that sort of pace, because the two SUVs are very quick in all of this. It's those massive tyres that will do it. 355s, stupendously good indeed. We have managed to hold it back, and if we are quicker at a straight line, we will be fine here towards the finish line. We do fend it off, but it is not. It's not going to be anywhere near enough for a victory. And Pega wins. We are some 4 seconds down the road. I had one very scruffy lap in there. I could have maybe been a little bit closer. Fastest laps for the rest of us, very close. X5, bloody quick. Bloody quick indeed, I will say that much. The two Jags, the fastest of the cars. The Vanquish not too far down either, considering the limited PI you have to play with. The M3 or sort of. The Stratos, pretty good lap time in all of that as well. Ugh. Gonna have to find some pace if we're going to even get closer to the X5. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, if I'm honest. So, for our second race with these cars, we are heading to the Bambara Coast Circuit. I'm hoping the SUVs are going to start at the back. No, they're not. God damn it. I'm going to work it out. We've got a relatively kind grid spot again for the E-Type. However, three of the 4 all-wheel drive cars, the 205 is too uncontrollable to really count, it starts directly around me, so that's not ideal. I'm going to have to find a way past the i8 if I'm quicker than the Porsche, assuming that beats me towards these first corners. Although actually you don't get a terrible rear-wheel drive launch, I have to say, with the E-Type. It actually isn't as big a difference as I thought it was going to be towards turn 1. In all this, the i8's got some big understeer through there, which we will try and make the most of. Sneak up the inside. I can't see a damn thing with the light bar from the Porsche going on there. Oh, and now we've got an X5 on the way through. We're going to ping out a ghost mode down here, aren't we? The Stratos leads the way. Go on, Lancia. Run away from the SUV brigade. I'd much rather a Stratos win than an SUV again, but I don't think that's quite going to be the case. We don't know. Maybe it will work in S1. I would have thought it's quite difficult to drive. However, who knows? It's got some good acceleration. It's small, it's light, probably a lot of power. I don't know what engine it might have. Racing V8, perchance. We are out of there. The i8 missed a checkpoint. I was alongside. Ooh, do we have more top end than the BMW? We actually do. Maybe it was just the BMW having really good traction out the hairpin that made it look like it had better street down that back straight of the previous circuit. And here we don't have that issue. Of course, the all-wheel drive advantages of the BMW are slightly less. The Stratos is doing very, very well at the moment. This is good news. Can we get the Jag onto the podium here? Maybe. Might be asking a little bit too much of the car. I think ultimately I just lack the composure and the grip that the SUVs have. My front tyres are 265s on here, which it's just not big enough. They just don't get the front end turned in well enough against the SUVs through some of these corners. I don't think we're going to be sat in no man's land. We really have not had much. I guess this is one of the downsides with the whole random draw. You know, S1 class sometimes doesn't get the very, very closest of racing. This is one of the very, very tantalising races where we are a couple of tenths faster and we'd be having a hell of a battle with two big SUVs, but we are a couple of tenths just the wrong side of out of performance, and then we make a little mistake trying to chase that couple of tenths. Be very easy to miss a checkpoint, very easy to mess things up. So I don't really feel like I'm struggling all that much with traction around here. I think it's just the turn in the front of the car is just, it's annoyingly close. Stratos is doing very well. It's a second away from that Porsche. Now, if the Porsche and Beamer start fighting, not only will that give the Lancia a chance to run away, but it might give me a chance to catch back up. It has to be some really big fighting, though, because again, we're starting to slowly slip down the order. But we are running away from the cars behind. The 205's worked itself up into 5th. Obviously hasn't crashed this lap yet. So it's blindingly fast accelerating in between accidents. It's just so dangerous and difficult to drive. In fact, Lombo's got the front-wheel drive Golf up into 5th place now. That is a remarkable performance for a front-wheel drive car. A-Class, we've had front-wheel drives worked. I have run A-Class front-wheel drives, and you can make them pretty damn quick. S1 Class starts getting really dicey. Okay, we're low S1 Class, but still, you're asking a lot on the front tyres of that car. And then there is that fight going on ahead of me that we were looking for. Just too far back. It looks like the Beamer might have got the move. No, it hasn't actually got the move done just yet. Hopefully they can continue to do this. We've got a couple of laps. But laps side by side, maybe. I think it's given the Stratos the gap it needs as long as the Lancia doesn't make a mistake. We might save some of our embarrassment with an actual car winning the race. It's not going to be from me, though. The E-Type is good. The E-Type is one of those distinctly... It's a top running car. It can score podiums, but I don't think it's ever going to be the fastest car at any given circuit. It definitely was outclassed by the SUVs on that previous circuit, but it was fast overall. Here, being outclassed certainly by the Stratos and the SUVs. I've had a couple of little errors, but nothing. I'm always a few tenths down. It does look like Liam has fended off in the Porsche fairly well here for 2nd place. Just like a little bit more grip, a little more confidence in the E-Type to really be able to throw the car around would be good. And bigger tyres would be the easiest way to get that. As it is going to have to be a 4th place for us. It's fairly comfortable 4th, which is, again, that's kind of nice. Lombo has done incredibly well to get that Golf. I think the Golf might actually be going quicker than me as well after a couple of scruffy laps. Yeah, it's not had the greatest end to that race. I think pushing a little bit too hard. Yeah, the Golf got up into 5th. That's a good job. Unfortunately, Countach disconnected on the final lap. Stratos the quickest, the only car in the 54s as well. A lot of 55s. I was relatively lucky with my spot on the grid. We kind of stayed out of a lot of the trouble. The 205 ended up slipping down to 8th. It did beat the Vanquish, the i8, and the Clio. Okay, so for our first couple of races, my car has been decent, but nothing special. Little bit lonely, however. We got thrashed by some SUVs. Let's see if we redraw. Maybe we can get something a bit better. So, for our second pair of races, the random draw was relatively kind. To me, I've got the Escort RS Turbo, which is a pretty good car for these lower class racing. The PI was 620, so we're talking lowish B class. Now, there have been some interesting draws in this one. Some sensible cars like the Escort, the Valiant Charger, the 695 above, but there is also a Unimog. There's a couple of very old Fords, the Mercury Coupe in the mix. 250, the Ferrari 250 Berlinetta further back is certainly one to watch out for. The Spitfire looked very quick down the straights. My Ford is going to be all about the cornering. I'm on standard tyres. I don't have much PI for... Well, I mean, I could be on something else, but I'd have absolutely no sort of straight line speed in any way, shape or form. The Unimog might struggle, shall we say. Unless we're on dirt, which we aren't for these, the Unimog is going to have a tough time. Oh, and I've got to remember, standard tyres do not necessarily give so they don't give me a huge amount of grip. It's not too bad for B-Class, I've just got to be aware that it's not as grippy as the race-tired Jaguar I was driving last time. The classic Ford is currently running away at the front. Now, this sort of track may well suit the likes of the Fords, the slightly more power cars. They may well come undone for some of these twisty bits. However, they are likely to be relatively okay on power. Now, the 695 has very little PI to work with. I think about 13 at the end of the day. But it is a very good car. I do love the Abarth. I've had it run pretty well in the past in some of the lower classes. It's just a good base vehicle to work with. I'm a bit scared of the Fulvia, I'm not going to lie. The Fulvias are very quick as well, so we might have to be doing some defendoing from that. It wants to have a go at turn 1. Is it alongside? It is. Is it going to wander wide a little bit? Can we cut back underneath? Yeah, that will work for me. Thank you very much. I mean, we're kind of... It's going to be down to the Fiat if something's going to beat that Ford. We were not expecting the Ford to actually be working, if I'm honest. We were not expecting them to be horrendously quick, and yet the Biposto is now starting to catch it. But it certainly looks like it might be the second quickest car in this field. I don't know if I have an answer to it in all of this one. I think, unfortunately, I have a horrible feeling I've got a very similar car in this one as I did to the Jag, in as much as I'm relatively quick, but maybe not quite fast enough, although the Fiat's got into trouble through this final corner. I don't know whether it tried to get to the inside, whether it hit something, hit some street furniture. It lost a lot of speed through that final corner, which, unfortunately, it doesn't really give me much hope in as far as I've caught it a little bit, but I know it's still faster than me over a lap. Though it ran wide through turn 1. Can I make anything happen here? I mean, if I start fighting with I think, to be fair, the Ford's already got that margin with 2 laps to go, that there's not really going to be a huge amount we can do about this one. We've pulled away. I'm actually surprised. I was really expecting the Fulvia to start fighting back after it got past, and then got past, I repassed it. Ooh, that's way too wide through there. That's not what we want. But it has actually just more dropped back. What have we got behind us? So it is Fulvia. It's trying to fight off the Valiant, and it's trying to fight off the Ferrari. I'm concerned about the Ferrari. That thing is going to be pretty damn quick, I would imagine, certainly down the straights. No, it's not as light as the likes of the Escort we have here, or the Abarth ahead of us, but it is going to have the power that we do not. We're sat at about 3.6 seconds down on the leader. I think my lap... Oh, it's a terrible first corner by me. Let's say, I don't think my lap times aren't bad. We just have this habit of building relatively quick cars that sit themselves firmly in no man's land. The Abarth is definitely the quicker car around here. It's closing back in on the leader. Is it going to have time to make anything happen, though? That's the big question, really. That little mistake at the final corner, it might have cost the Fiat a chance to take a victory here. Behind, the Fulvia continues to sit in 4th place, ahead of that 250, with the Valiant having now fallen back into the 6th position. The Unimog, unsurprisingly, is at the back of the field. Who would have thought it? How is the gaps doing up ahead? That's a curious bit. Yeah, I mean, we're just losing. We're losing a few tenths a lap. If I have a really good lap, I think I can match the Ford almost for pace, but I don't really stand much chance of catching it. Whereas the Abarth, has dropped back a little bit through this first section. Yeah, I mean, the cars are pretty close. Certainly, I'm going to need a lot twistier. Problem is, I think I need a much twistier circuit to beat the Ford. Problem is, we have a twistier circuit, and the Abarth absolutely annihilates me. While sure, it has less power, it is a little bit heavier. It's also got a much, much better chassis, just much better handling car from standard than the Escort. The Escort's not bad, but it's just going up against a lot more modern machinery, and we are going to come around in a 3rd place in this one. That is not the expected result up at the front, I have to say. That's not what we were expecting to see at all. The very classic Ford would take victory. Ahead of the Abarth, I would sit in a fairly solid 3rd position in this one, beating out the Fulvia, and lap time-wise also beating out the Fulvia, the Ferrari, and the Valiant, followed by the Aston Martin. The Notchback in 8th, ahead of the Spitfire, The other Ford coupe down in 10th ahead of the Mercury. The Unimog a few seconds off the pace. It's not actually as far away from the Mercury and the Fords and so on as I might have thought. You know, it's always going to be a bit tough. So, for the final race, we've come to the Edinburgh Station Circuit. Now, a track that could well work for my car, some handling, which I do have. We're very much in the middle of the pack. The Fast Four, ooh, okay. So, the Ford and the Abarth are both at the back. They're going to have to work their way forward. The Fulvia and the Ferrari do start on the front row, so we're going to try to chase them down. I think it might work here for me. If we were quicker at Broadway, we may well be quicker here as well. We'll have to see how they handle. Got the DBS in front of us. The Mercury will launch off the line very well, but it's going to come undone with a lot of these 90-degree, these slower corners. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's a good thing we have Ghost Mode, otherwise the Unimog would cause chaos. It started quite well up the field both times. I don't know if you've got a better way of starting it this time out. Not really. We will have to wait and see. Unfortunately, we'll have to see how close it can get in terms of lap time is really what we're going to be doing with that. We'll see how we compare to some of the other cars. We haven't really seen. I mean, we've been given very, very kind spots on the grid in this. Scotty absolutely threw that through the railings. I personally don't really like going through the railings. However, Scotty sent the notchback through that one. We get to the inside. It's too wide for the lead. We are trying to join in this fight. Unfortunately for me, there's not quite anywhere to go. Can we go around the outside of the Fulvia? No, but we can cut back underneath it for the exit there. It's the outside for the next corner. We're going to be late on the brakes. We might actually make this work. It's a little bounce off the wall, but we're up into a second position. Now, if we're going to win this race, we have got to clear the Ferrari. We've got to clear the Ferrari quick. Because the cars that I'm scared about, are Liam. They've missed checkpoints. The two quickest cars in the field from the first race are a long way back, and the only way that happens here is missed checkpoints. I don't know what pushed them, whether they was pushed, whether they just got a bit greedy on the first lap. However, both the cars ahead of me from the previous race have missed checkpoints at the start of this one. So, we are in an absolutely fantastic position potentially for this, although we couldn't get past the Ferrari there. We got stuck trying to fight it. The Fulvia wants to have a go to the inside around this next corner. That's okay, we'll give it some space. I think I have got the grip, maybe, even on the Fulvia in some ways. There comes the notch back to the inside. It's almost 3 wide. The Volkswagen not quite got the speed to make that one stick. The Fulvia sends it in through this next corner. The notchback is having a look to the outside. Notchback has a lot of grip, but it doesn't have quite enough straight line speed. We are now 3 wide. I'm trying to give space to everything. Impega is very much the cork in the bottle of this one. The Ferrari's not got the quarter speed, but it has got the top end to give us trouble. The notchback's got so much quarter speed, but nothing for us on the straight. Jesus, that thing's slow. I don't know what tyres it's got on. Maybe rally tyres? Maybe vintage race? Because I'm on standard tyres. I'm pretty sure the Fulvia is. Pretty sure Impega is as well. Oh, Impega got street furnitured. And that is going to help me no end, although we bobble the curb horribly through there. I have absolutely no momentum coming through that section. Everything went horrible. Having got the lead, I lost all sorts of momentum through there. Okay, run away! Run away from the Ferrari of speed. I mean, the Fulvia is not that much slower than I am in all of this. We've got to watch out for the notchback as well. I think the notchback's always going to have trouble in that it's going to close. It's going to be that infuriating sort of race for the Volkswagen, where lap time wise it's probably there, but physically overtaking is so difficult when you are that. Whoa, it's fallen over! Scotty's out! Notchback's fallen over! Well, I wasn't expecting that one. I was not prepared for that one in the slightest. I'm glad I chose that moment to look behind. I'm going to be honest. At least we know exactly how and where the notchback went. I've said it many times before, if you're going to go out of a race, go out in style, and that was some stylish going out of a race right there. I guess wherever I last set this up, the weather must just have been. I mean, this is the damp under, I say under, on the ground, under wheels, if you like. I wasn't expecting this to actually be rollable weather. Particularly, Forza's very funny with the physics getting cars to roll. Yes, rain does make it happen, but this was just like the post-rain. I believe this is post-rain setting. I just left it on what it was before. Apparently, this is what it was before. But that's enough for the notchback to go over. They are quite wobbly. There is no doubt about that. We've had a jelly car version. They are quite known for wobbling, but that was quite impressive. So well done, Scotty, on that. It's not even last either. That Volkswagen's got some serious speed. I guess that is the curse of having the tyres, having those super grippy tyres, do lead to the potential for grip roll. We are pulling away now, actually, from the Ferrari. The Fulvia's lost out in all this. I'll be interested to see lap times, because I'm not sure. I don't think I genuinely beat the Abarth on pace here. I think fastest lap-wise will probably go to the Abarth. However, we made less mistakes. I say we made less mistakes. I don't know what caused it to miss a checkpoint. It could well have been pushed. But yeah, we stayed out of trouble. We've had a terrible turn 1 again in all of that. We had some sketchy 3-wide moments, but we kept it all together in the Ford as we head down past the tram station for the final time. I was going to try and see gaps back, but it doesn't tell you. Basically, whenever you go through the next checkpoint, it like resets the counter to the sort of car behind, so the checkpoints are close together, you never get to see. Oh, and something's gone wrong for Impega. Impega's lost a whole heap of time as well. Well, it was a manic first few laps, and then it's really, really spread out. The Escort absolutely flying along. Oh, there's a wall. We hit that wall a bit hard. I mean, Liam from a missed checkpoint has climbed all the way up into 6th place in this one. In fact, the Unimog's in 8th. That's not terrible. That's not completely terrible for the Unimog. Liam's up to 4th now with the Abarth. That's an incredible comeback drive for that car. It is some big gaps around the field, but it is going to be a victory for the Escort Turbo. What were the lap times? 105.1 for me. Yeah, 104.5. Jeez. 104.9. So pretty similar between me and the Ford, which is probably what I would expect around here. The Ford's got the straight line speed. I have the handling. The Abarth was quick. It recovered to 4th, which is a ridiculously well done in all of that. So yeah, I take the victory ahead of the Ferrari. Lancia in 3rd. Abarth, Chrysler, Valiant, Charger, then Longbows, Aston Martin DBS ahead of the Ford. The Unimog gets 8th, which is pretty damn good going ahead of the Spitfire, Mercury, and the 40s Ford Coupe. The Notchback fought well. It was a good battle, and it fell over. And it crashed well, so you know, there's that at least. We got a win! We did a good thing. So on to, I say, some sort of conclusions in this one. I guess I got kind of relatively lucky. I got given good cars, but nothing particularly great. No one was expecting the Ford, the classic Ford, to be as fast as it was. That thing was actually very, very good. The Escort was pretty decent. It was probably the 3rd best car in the field. The Jag was probably the 3rd or 4th best car in the field, depending on the circuit. You know, they were decent enough cars, were never quite as quick as some of the other vehicles in that one. But it's always exciting, it's always interesting to see what you can do. You know, with the PI numbers different, you've got to kind of maybe compromise your builds in a different way than you might be used to. And admittedly, my cars in this one weren't too crazy. They weren't too extreme. I have run the Escort before. It's generally quite fast. The E-Type, I've struggled to make the E-Type work in Horizon. I've made it work in other games, but Horizon I can never seem to quite get it to go. But, you know, we did okay. We got some good results. I got a win at the end of the day. Can't complain too much about that. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.